The Holiday Cup returned this season with some festive battles, but pretty soon we'll see a new variation on the cup, being the Holiday Cup Little League Edition. What are the best choices and teams for this format though? Well, join us as we get into the holiday spirit and break things down. Welcome back everyone. This new Little League format has the same type restrictions as the normal Holiday Cup, meaning only normal, grass, electric, ice, flying, and ghost types are allowed. It's also worth noting that this little format does not restrict the usable Pokemon to first evolutions. Similar to Little Jungle Cup, you could use not only just Fletchling, but also Fletchinder or Talonflame. In this guide we'll go over a few choices for each type, and then a couple sample teams to try out. So let's get right into it. Starting off with the normal type, and we have Litleo. When you look at all the types of this cup, fire actually ends up doing fairly well, giving you the ability to combat grass and ice types, and the normal subtyping of Litleo gives it additional resistances to Ghost, which is nice. Litleo also has a strong moveset here with the newly buffed Incinerate, alongside Flame Charge and Crunch for coverage. It may still be a bit clunky, and not the bulkiest out there, but I think it'll have a pretty strong showing. For something a tad bulkier though, we have Eevee. It's a bit bulkier than Litleo, with the moveset of Body Slam and Dig allowing for some spamminess and nice ground damage for coverage. Though with Body Slam being a legacy move on Eevee, I'm not sure I'd recommend building one just for this cup. But if you do happen to have a Body Slam Eevee from years ago, this would be a great opportunity for it. Next up is a cup Pokemon I'm sure you're all familiar with, being Vigoroth. It may not be super bulky here, but it's got a great moveset, with counter tearing through a lot of different Pokemon, and the new Rock Slide being nice coverage against the various fire and flying types of the cup. It'll do really well. And there's other normal types like Dubwool, Obstagoon, Galarian Zigzagoon, and Wigglytuff who all do nice unique things here too, and all four are fairly cheap to build. Onto the grass type though, and there aren't as many who I think are very viable, especially with there being quite a few good fire types in the cup. Despite this, Abomasnow remains a decent choice for this format, being a grass type who can take on other grasses. Plus, the spammy Ice Weather Ball lets you handle the flying type pretty well too. On the other side of coverage though is Lurantis, who's certainly frail, but hits really hard with Leaf Blade and Superpower. You're still weak to fire types, but Lurantis can at least handle Litleo with the Fighting Charged move, not to mention all the other normal types. And there's not a ton of other grass types I'd recommend beyond maybe Cottony, who's been nerfed over the past year, but still makes for a solid charmer for the Little League. Moving on to the electric type, and my two big recommendations are actually both Pikachu. The first is specifically Pikachu Libre, who is carried by the incredibly overpowered Flying Press. The cheap but powerful fighting move can plow through most Pokemon, especially when Pikachu has Thundershock to spam it, and even those who Pikachu Libre loses to aren't left without a chunk of health lost. If you've got a Pikachu Libre under 500, it's a great choice for this cup. And the other solid choice for Pikachu is the Flying Balloon variant. There are a few different forms with different balloons, but all are capable of learning the powerful Fly, which is another move that offers nice coverage for Pikachu in this cup, letting it hit back grass types that would normally counter it. And outside of Pikachu, you could still run Charjabug or Pachirisu, but I don't think either are nearly as interesting here. Still nice options, but nothing mind-blowing. For the Ice type, it's primarily Pokemon with interesting subtypings. The first is Amara, whose Rock subtyping makes it vulnerable to Vigoroth's counter, but it does still help with the various fire types in this cup. Even so though, it's not the safest pick out there. Spammy like Abomasnow, but still vulnerable. On the other side of things we have Alolan Ninetales, who's less spammy, assuming you run Charm, but it hits hard as one of the few viable Charmers in this cup. I'd still be wary of the fire types here, but beyond them, Charm Ninetales is really strong in this cup, so if you plan your team around its weaknesses, you can play really aggressive with it. And otherwise, Alolan Sandslash has strong coverage here, and Arctibax has the high damage Dragon Breath that largely goes unresisted in this cup, making it pretty valuable. Moving on to the flying type though, and we have Ducklet, who is often big in the Little Cup, and I expect no different here. Besides Pikachu and maybe a few of the ice types, I think it'll have a lot of pressure against Pokemon with its flying attacks. And there's also Gligar, who has a bit more bulk than most, plus a moveset with nice coverage. Beyond Ducklet and the ice types, it does really well here. Just brings something to deal with the ice types especially. And there are a few other flying choices, notably the entire Fletchling line, with Fletchling being spammier with Quick Attack, Fletchinder having Steel fast move pressure with Steel Wing, and Talonflame using its signature fire and flying combo. All decent options here. But now we finally move on to the Ghost type, and this is where the Fire type really comes into play. I know I've mentioned it a lot in this video, and it isn't actually a type in this format, but it's mainly because of the notable Ghost types here, all of which are Ghost and Fire types. Up first is Litwick, who I'd especially recommend in its Shadow form. It really only needs one move too, with Mystical Fire being the primary one, but you can also choose to boost your attack with Flame Charge as a secondary tool. Besides a few who resist fire like Gligar and Ducklet, most are hit pretty hard by it, so it's definitely useful. It also helps that the Ghost Fire combo resists moves like Vigoroth's Counter and Body Slam, Pikachu Libre's Flying Press, plus Ice and Grass. You can also opt for Lampent, who is a bit frailer, but does higher damage with Ember and comes with Energy Ball as a coverage tool. And let's not forget Alolan Marowak, who has much stronger coverage with Ground and Ghost, with both those moves letting it hit most of the meta pretty well. And the only other Ghost I'd truly recommend would be the other Fire Ghost type, Skeledirge. Though I think Skeledirge is clunkier than the others, and unlike in the upper leagues, it's not as bulky here. It's still an alright choice though. But now, let's move into the teams section. Up first we have Gligar, Shadow Litwick, and Pikachu Libre. Now this team provides a lot of nice coverage and a lot of spammy charged move pressure from Gligar and Pikachu Libre, and more fast move pressure from Litwick. Gligar does well against a lot of core meta choices, but Litwick and Pikachu Libre handle ice Pokemon quite well, making it a pretty well-rounded team. If you don't have a Pikachu Libre though, you could opt for something like Vigoroth or another fire type like Alolan Marowak, though both of these can struggle against Ducklet, so be aware of that. And our second team is a bit of a spin on the first one, with Amora, Alolan Marowak, and Vigoroth. While it is similar to the last one, it does have some key differences. Amora has arguably better coverage than Gligar, but it is more vulnerable. And Vigoroth has fighting fast move pressure rather than Pikachu Libre's fighting charged move pressure. But still, you've got a lot of strong coverage here. I'd still be wary of Pokemon with fighting moves that would threaten Vigoroth and Amora, but I think if you're good at pivoting and saving Alolan Marowak for those counters, you'll do really well. But that just about wraps up this prep guide. Down in the comments below, let me know what Pokemon you're looking to use here, or if you've got questions on what to run. I'm always happy to help. And if you like this guide, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss our upcoming videos. Until next time though, thanks so much for watching, and we wish you all the best of luck in the Little Holiday Cup. Take care.